Hi, my name's Michael Talbot. I'm an upper GI and bariatric surgeon from Sydney. I'd like to talk about new developments in sleeve gastrectomy surgery, but first a bit of history. The sleeve itself started as part of another operation called a duodenal switch, and a handful of cases were done in the USA starting in the late 1990s and in the early 2000s. While visiting a colleague in the US in 2004, we saw the sleeve gastrectomy for the first time and came back to Sydney and undertook the first New South Wales cases soon after that. Nobody actually knows who did Australia's first sleeve cases, but most of them started around about that time, pretty much sporadically. What we found was that there are many patients who were undecided about having a gastric bypass back in the early 2000s who chose the sleeve as a staged procedure. They'd have the sleeve first and then think about the bypass if they needed it. And what we found was that it soon became more popular than the bypass and eventually took over the gastric band as well. Pretty soon after we started, we were doing the largest number of sleeves and bypasses in the country, and taught a whole lot of surgeons, and the procedures carried on across the country since then. Now, why is the sleeve still such a popular operation? I mean, no operation is perfect, but when we look at studies comparing the sleeve and the gastric bypass long term, what we find is that while the bypass gives a little bit more weight loss, it's only a few percentage points more. That the weight loss from a sleeve can last for a decade or more, and it's got a lower side effect profile. And that's allowed it worldwide to become the most popular weight loss surgery, and it's likely to be the most popular weight loss surgery for a time. In our own clinic, the Bariatric Surgical Registry has given us our follow-up data showing that for bypasses, our average weight loss is about 40% of starting weight, and the sleeves are very respectable 30%, with the gastric band down about 18%. What this means is that most patients who have a sleeve gastrectomy will expect to lose around about a third of their starting weight, and that's sufficient for most people. What are the issues with the sleeve long term? Reflux and weight regain. And what we see in Australia is a 5 to 6% reoperation rate by 5 years. And I think we could do better than this. My feeling is we might do a little bit better than this at St George because we're a high volume unit, but it's very, very hard to be sure. And obviously, many issues related to patient outcomes could be improved by standardizing surgery. And that's where this next stapler comes in. The Titan stapler is a single fire stapler that prevents twisting and abnormalities in the staple line, which can lead to stenoses and reflux. What happens with this device is the sleeve is performed by freeing up the stomach. Then a single long firing stapler is placed across the stomach. Everything's lined up. And when the surgeon is entirely happy with everything, the stapler is fired. We know that the leak rate and bleed rate is at least as good for this stapler as it is for patients having standard sleeve gastrectomy, but more importantly, the rate of reflux and regurgitation and vomiting is on average significantly less. You can see the firing of the stapler here, and it's got a graduated staple line, allowing the thinner parts of the stomach to be stapled with short staples and the thicker parts of the stomach to be stapled with thicker stomach staples, reducing the risk of leaks and bleeds. And you can see once the staple is released, the stomach springs back into its desired shape. And it's the perfect shape that can help lead to the perfect outcome. For those interested, we'll be using this stapler shortly with the first couple of cases coming up soon. Please book an appointment for a conversation if you wish to find out more.